All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Tarot Time with John the Tarot Geek, where we teach you not only a little bit about the framework, but more importantly, what the cards mean to themselves and each other, and sort of tips and tricks about the energy of the cards and how that relates to the readings that you're doing. So I'm really excited because again, we're doing these on their own now. They're standalone shows, and we're doing 2 cards a week, so that'll get us through the deck a little quicker.
Yeah.
And and then maybe we'll move on and figure out some spreads we'll share with you, and
Yep.
all that good stuff. So anyway, what have we got this week, John?
All right. Well, first of all, I want to say a little bit of a new format, some new technology here. I have the 2 cards down here, and you can see them and me and Angie all at the same time. So
there you go.
We're stepping up the game over here. Our first card this week is the Temperance card. So this one right here is the Temperance card. This is one of the major arcana cards, and major arcana ones are, there's 5 suits, as we know, the wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. And then there's also the major arcana. When major arcana cards come up in a reading, they're more important. They've got a bigger, broader, louder message. Temperance is probably my favorite card of the deck, maybe the Magician, but this is one of my favorites, certainly. Temperance is the idea of alchemy, of blending 2 things, of harmony, of equilibrium. The standard Raider White deck has an angel or a goddess pouring 2 different cups, pouring liquid from one cup to another. And first, let me get the mantra for this card. The mantra for this card from Chris Sand's Lightseer's deck is, "I walk the middle path and nourish my spiritual wholeness." So there's this idea of equilibrium, of balance, of the middle path. Here's why I like this card. This card came up for me again and again and again when I was trying to figure out, how do I live my spreadsheet and software world over here, and my spiritual world and my spiritual journey over there? Well, how do I do both? And this card kept coming up. What is this card telling me? You blend them, you mix them together. Your spirituality and your science and spreadsheet world, you can blend them. And so what came up was, hey, what if I were a business coach or consultant for spiritual businesses? What if I used some of my meditation and divination tools in my own business? But there were just all kinds of ways of blending 2 things. So it's the idea of blending 2 things together and creating something new out of what you're blending. So that is the Temperance card. And if you've got questions on that, Angie, you can ask in a minute. I want to bring this other card up, though. This one here is a 6 of Wands, and this is another really good card to get in a reading. This card is the Celebrated Success card. I call this the Influencer card. This is all about accomplishments, victory, and being in the spotlight because of your success. This is the idea of something you've been working on for a long time, finally coming to fruition, and you are receiving the victory, the glory, and the honor for the accomplishment you made. So the mantra for this card is, I am worthy of this success, and I am grateful that I am seen. So not only did you get success, you received acknowledgement for your success. So it's like the double, it's the double success, doing it and then receiving acknowledgement for your success. So the 2 cards this week again are the Temperance card, Balance and Equilibrium, and Celebrated Success. That is the 6 of Wands.
That's awesome. So interestingly enough, what I was trying to do is figure out what they were called in the Radley Valentine deck, in his world,
Oh yeah.
he renamed some of the major arcana.
Yep.
And it's balance, temperance. It's
Yes, that's right. It's
balance,
balance. That's right. I do remember that.
balance,
Yep.
which makes a lot of sense. Like, I don't know why I didn't, as I was looking through, I don't know why I didn't pick up on that right away. But I guess because I wouldn't necessarily associate the word temperance with balance, and I don't know why exactly. I mean, because it actually, um, it's power tempered with, uh, you know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
yeah. You're
You
you're
know,
trying to temper.
it does make complete sense. It just, for
Yep.
some reason in my mind, it didn't
One of the
register.
books I was reading on this said, now is not the time for all or nothing thinking.
Ah,
So another way to look at it, this card might come up as what's working for you, what's working against you. If this comes up in the position of what's working against you, you might be leaning into like, well, it's either A or B. Can't be, those are the only two choices. So you're doing this all or nothing thinking. And so the warning is no, you need to be thinking about the middle, the equilibrium, the moderation, the harmony,
right.
right?
That's really interesting because, the ZXUH method, that's me, that's what I do, is visualize, align, surrender, right? And so that card in the work, what's working against you, might mean that you're, to all or nothing. And surrender is all about not being all or nothing,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So it's the same, it's
yeah,
the same
very
kind of
much along the
energy,
same
right?
lines.
If we could all learn to figure out what we want, take aligned action, and then step back and let the universe do its work, we would all manifest a lot faster than we do. So, or that's probably too blanket of a statement to make, but it would make things easier, right?
Right. Yep.
That's what it's all about. So, I love the fact, if you really, what strikes me about these conversations that we are having about these cards is there is not a single thing in a tarot deck to be afraid of. Nothing. And
For
I
sure.
never was. I'm not, like, everybody's like, oh, aren't you? They're friggin' they're paper and ink, okay? Like,
Right.
I'm not afraid of them. Like,
Right.
oh well, you don't want to buy your own deck, or you don't want to, you need to be gifted a deck. Well, if I waited for that, I wouldn't have any decks. Actually, I gift them all to myself.
That's right.
Oh,
It's
look, it's my
gifting.
birthday.
You know
But
that,
what I love is that you're removing sort of the stigma away from the cards and saying, look, this is just what it means.
yep.
Even the tower and the death card, like the
Yep.
tower, it's just a heads
It's
up.
a
That's all
message.
it
Yeah.
is. It's a
Yep.
message to say, pay attention. Pay attention to what you're doing. Look around, pay attention to what's going on. Heads up.
Yep.
You
One of
know.
the things that's kind of funny is this is and it's not a fear thing, but it's the stalker card. I do a daily reading or nearly daily, and I've had weeks where I get the same card like 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row. I'm like, all
Hmm.
right, I got a stalker here. What's going on? And so sometimes I might do a reading. I'll have that card out and I'll say, okay, deck, what do I need to know about this stalker card? What are you reminding me of every day this week? So those
So,
get
I will tell you that sometimes a stalker card would be preferable to having somebody just say it over and over in the back of your head all day long until you actually do what they're telling you to do, because that's really what's happening
that's
there,
what's going
right?
on
It's
for
the
you for
same thing.
sure. That's
You're
funny.
getting your guidance through the deck, through the
Yes.
tarot cards, right?
Yep.
That you're going to the tarot cards for guidance, and for whatever reason, that stalker card is coming up because you're not you're not interpreting the guidance the way they want you to, or you're not
Right.
acting on the guidance the way they want you to, or
Yep.
something, and that's
Right.
why
Look
it keeps
again.
coming
Look
up.
again. Look again.
So I love the idea that, so this is the power of the tool, right? Like, the power of the tool says that, okay, well, you have the stalker card, you have the technology to figure out what it's about, so you don't have to rely on your intuition. Believe me, it's no picnic having somebody repeat the same thing over and over in your damn head. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love him. and I love them and I love working with them and I'm grateful. I'm
Yep.
very grateful. But sometimes it's like, will you people just be quiet
Like,
already?
it's
You
like,
know,
all right, I need to
yes,
turn
I
that
will
off.
call Val and tell her whatever, or like it just it just whatever.
That's funny.
So, right, but I love that if you get this card and it keeps coming up, what you're pointing out here is now you're not reading the same for the same. You're not doing the same reading or asking the same question.
Right.
You are getting a card that comes up over and over, and you're asking a new question. Help me figure out why is this card coming up over and over,
Yes.
which is really, really important because I think that a lot of people, ask a question, do a reading, ask a question, ask the same question, do another reading. They keep, that's like trying to ask the same question different ways to get a different outcome. Now, I will tell you that works with the IRS. If you don't like what one person told you and you think you're on the right track, hang up and call back because maybe there will be another person that can understand what's going on in your mind.
Works with tech
But
support too.
right? Yeah, right. Tech support for real. But when it comes to the cards don't play. Like, I don't do it anymore, but I remember back in the day when I would ask the same question over and over, all of a sudden I would just start getting garbage.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
right? Like, just,
Yep.
well, that doesn't make
Divination
any
fatigue.
damn sense.
Yep.
And it's like, we already told you the answer to this. If you don't want to listen to it or act on it, that's not our
Right.
problem.
Now we're just going to give you nonsense.
Like, yeah, that doesn't even fit at all. So, it's really, really important, I think, for people to understand that the tool is multifaceted.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't just go in one direction. So you get the stalker card, and then you ask the deck to give you, you do a reading on the stalker card. So when you do that, right? Do you use that same spread, or do you use, different?
When I needed to get it, sometimes I'll just pull one clarification card, and sometimes I'll do a whole 5-card spread asking, what do I need to know about this situation?
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I mean, so I think that speaks to another really important point, is that I think there's a lot of people that think, oh, you got to do the Celtic cross, or you got to do, you know what I mean? Or you have to look in the book. Well, let's see, what does it say? Like, it says I can do this spread, or I can do that spread.
Past, present, and future. That is a 3-card spread.
Yeah, right. Celtic cross. I don't even know what they're. Because I don't use any of them. I use a rune spread mostly when I read.
Right.
But you have the power to take those spreads. Maybe we should have, maybe we should make that an episode.
Spreads.
We can do a like make it a crossover.
Yep.
Like a
love that.
crossover tarot time and episode.
Mhm.
So it could go into both categories. But the idea, the power of the spread, right? Because you can make a spread give you answers to a lot of things. You could, if you understand what you want to know, you can make that spread work for you.
Right.
Instead of, because frankly, some of those really big spreads I find exhausting. Like,
I do too. They take so long, and they give you maybe a little tiny bit more information than you get otherwise, but essentially it's going to be the same message.
Right. And it's interesting because I do like these really amazing, and they are big readings. I use 4 decks, 3 or 4 decks.
Yep.
And I use usually 4 decks, and it's 3 columns, 4 decks, so 12 cards. But it tells a story, and it's still overview, action, challenge. That's what I read. Overview, action, challenge. What is the deal? What do I need to do? And what are the cards or the teachers, angels challenging me to do?
Mm-hmm.
Or what am I going to find challenging? It might be a little of both. But to me, that's different than how many cards are in the Celtic cross? Like 12 or something?
I believe it's 12, yeah.
And you go through, and and you go, okay, well, this is how I lay it out. Fine, lay it out. You get it laid out, and then okay. Oh wait, which one is card number one? Card number one. Card number one. Okay, card number one is whatever it is.
Right.
You know,
You
and
spend all
then
your time in the mechanics.
yeah, right, exactly, right. And then you go, okay, card number two, flip it over, and then, oh dang, card number two was that one over there. Like, so to me, I think it's equally as important. It's equally as important to when you're drawing the cards, when you're laying out the spread, to be connected to what the spread is trying to tell you. And I find it very difficult to connect to like the Celtic Cross.
Mm-hmm.
When I am dealing the card, dealing, is that what you call it? Do you deal cards, tarot cards? Is that what you're doing?
Pulling is usually
when
the word they use. Pulling. When I'm
pulling
cards.
when I'm pulling the cards, as I'm going through the question in my mind, I'm like, okay, is it overview, action, challenge? Oh no, it's 4 today. Okay, is it overview? Yes. Action? Yes. Challenge? No. Oh, another action? Yes. So I'm connecting to the energy of the spread.
Oh,
right?
That's good. That's good.
Right?
Yeah, that's real good.
So, I mean, I feel like, and you do amazing readings anyway. So I think maybe like if you're probably doing it without realizing it.
Right.
Like if you're a new person doing, because you do the same spread, right? All the time.
I do that. Well, so, I have 2 or 3 that I use, but yes.
Right. But I mean, you pretty much,
yep,
pretty
consistent.
So, to me, that's just kind of like when I tell people who are just starting to meditate and get into the music of meditation, listen to the same music every time.
Right.
So you start developing muscle memory, right? I think it's the same thing with the cards. So the spreads I think are important, an important way for you to sort of dial into what the cards are trying to tell you as well. Because maybe some of those categories are just don't really mean that much to you, Right. Wow. Well, how amazing this tarot time is.
I know, this is fun.
Although if we're not careful and we don't watch the time, it's going to turn into another hour episode. Right. So anyway, so that's fantastic. So we've got 2 episodes in the can of the show. We've got this episode of Tarot Time. We're going to spread it out over a few different days of the week so they don't hit all at one time. While we're at it, if you enjoyed this episode of Tarot Time, please reach down and hit subscribe. That would be so great for us.
And tell your friends.
Yes, get your friends to come over and subscribe as well. And if you have questions about tarot, the deck, or if you would like to hear us do an episode on the Fool's Journey, which I think would be really fun too, drop a comment and let us know. We'd really appreciate it. Anyway, so I think that's it for today, right?
It is. I think we're good.
Well, then you and I are going to sign off, and we want everybody to have a blessed and joyous day or weekend or week. And we will see you next time on Does It Resonate With You?